Okay, so I have no idea how well this is working or if it's working at all. It's very difficult to see what's actually happening at the moment. According to this, the stream is good. I'm just looking for some information. Okay, so in the live chat I can see Edward and Sophia. Hello. So one thing I do know is I'm pretty sure that the feed is a good 7 or 8 seconds behind me. So what you'll be seeing from me tonight is going to be a little bit delayed, I think. So I'm going to do my best to try and talk directly to you, and I think it might be a bit slow in terms of my feedback, but hopefully it won't cause too many issues. So start by saying hiya. So yeah, let's see if this is working. So can you guys hear what I'm saying, and is everything coming through okay at the moment? Okay. So I'm hoping this is working. Let's see. Okay, perfect. Thanks everyone for responding. Okay, so anytime, I'm going to keep an eye on the live chat, so hopefully you can hear what I'm saying. And yeah, thank you, Raquel, for confirming that as well. So yeah, any questions anyone wants to ask me, by all means pop them in the chat and I will do my best to answer them live today. So I've been to Pink Panthers this evening. Had a good night. It was packed, absolutely heaving. So there's loads of people in there, which was great. Normally, if you go on like a B&O night, it's a bit quiet, and it was just absolutely full of gay guys, lesbians, couples, birthday parties, hen nights, and probably 10 or so trans girls. Not much more than that. So yeah, that was good. It was a good sort of good fun evening. So just for information, I'm going to be drinking this evening. This is non-alcoholic sparkling wine, which I had left over. So hopefully that's yeah, a nice touch of elegance for the evening. So okay, I did meet a couple of people. So I had one guy on the dance floor. So I was dancing quite a bit tonight. One guy on the dance floor asking me, basically explaining to me how it's okay, he's gay, and that's all fun, and yes, his friend's confused. I don't know. Anyway, so there's this one guy, and he was yeah, he was sort of chatting away to me on the dance floor. He seemed like a decent guy, maybe a bit confused about what he was looking for. And I met two other girls who I'd never spoken to before, which was quite cool, and got chatting to them a little bit. The place was absolutely full of, yeah, gorgeous girls, and if it's I'm more of a girly girl type person. I like my girlfriends. I like sort of chatting with girls and spending time around girls. So it was a fantastic girl there tonight. She was wearing hot pants and this fantastic sort of sparkly leggings with hot pants on top and a mesh black top, which was gorgeous, over a sort of very sort of fine lacy bra. Anyway, it was, yeah, she was stunning. Long dark hair, very very slim, very petite. Actually, she's probably quite tall. Actually, she wasn't that short, and she was really cool. Yeah, I thought she was fantastic. Loved her look. Loved her look. If I could look like that, I'd be so happy. So, by the way, if anything goes wrong at any time with the audio, please let me know in the live chat. So, what I thought I'd talk about a little bit is, and by the way, like I said, any questions, just file them through in the live chat and keep an eye on things, and hopefully I'll just respond to you directly rather than responding through the live chat. I hope that works. Like I said, it's a bit of a delay, but if you send me anything through the live chat, I will definitely answer the question, whatever it is you have to ask, as much as I possibly can. So I thought I'd explain about this. So I'm drinking non-alcoholic wine. Sparkly stuff. And I'm drinking this because I don't drink anything. So when I go out to a club, like Pink Punters or anywhere, I don't drink any alcohol. I don't smoke. And as a result, I suspect that's what keeps my skin looking good at 41 years old. So yes, I do this as much as I can. Anyway, so I don't drink any alcohol at all, but I do drink, stuff that kind of tastes like alcohol and seems a bit like alcohol, nice sparkly stuff. It's quite nice to have a nice drink. And since I was, yes, bumming around this evening, no drinking. I normally just drink Red Bull, so that was fun. So, thank you, Edward, by the way. Very nice of you to say so. So, question from Bryant: how did I start? How did I get started dressing? So I've been dressing for probably about, let's say, since I was a teenager, but only in a very basic kind of way. So I have, I used to just dress up in little bits of lingerie, underwear and stuff like that, nothing particularly full on about it. And then about 11, 12 years ago, I really started to pick up more and more dressing, and I bought a wig and I bought some makeup, and I was really quite terrible. Yeah, I was really quite terrible at doing makeup, etc. And I don't even have any old photos from those days, so it's very difficult for me to explain that. But then I sort of got into a relationship and parked everything away, and I've done that a couple of times now, where I've put everything away, purged my collection, got rid of everything. And so the main time I got back into dressing again was really about 2 years ago. So over the course of the last 10 years, things have been bubbling up. I owned a few pair of shoes. I bought a few bits and pieces here and there. I still had a wig, and I'd put things on every now and again. And yet it was all very hush hush. And 2 years ago, I went for a couple of makeovers, and I started getting really serious about doing makeup, which is where I went for my makeover at MAC in Reading, and that was that was really really good. Real eye opener. I learned all about MAC cosmetics. I've got all my MAC stuff in the drawer down here. So all my blush and my Prep and prime the lips. My lovely lip liner. So all my stuff is here, and I've got access to it all the time, so I can basically get to my stuff as soon as I need to, as soon as I want to. I just jump straight in and yeah, get made up. And because I work from home, this is my office. It's sort of part office, part workroom. Yes, I am 41, by the way. I really am 41, not April Fools. Besides which, that was yesterday. It's 3:11 AM here, so technically April Fools is finished here. And so yes, I have access to all my stuff here. So if I'm working from home, I can basically get up, come in here, start my laptop, pop my makeup on early in the morning, and then by the time my work starts, I'm fully made up and here ready to do whatever. Which makes it quite easy for me to practice makeup. And I think that's the big difference between some people who don't get to practice makeup and some people who do. This is it's all down to how much you can practice, how much you can absorb. I watch a lot of YouTube videos, so a lot of what I do is just spending time looking at the YouTube videos, trying to understand how people do specific techniques. Especially there are some techniques that are really quite difficult. You may not be able to tell, but I struggle with my eyes. So I do struggle with doing my eye makeup. And as a tip to anyone out there, I use this. So what I do is I take a length of sellotape and I tape down my eye here, down the side of my, the camera's backwards, so I tape down the side of my eye here. So you can see where that straight line is there. That's because I put tape there, and the first thing I did was I applied the eye makeup, most of it, and then I put my foundation on afterwards. So you get a really, really good sort of nice straight line of eye makeup. It helps because otherwise if you do your foundation first and then you put your eye makeup on, if anything drops down, it drops straight on here, and I don't want to mess around with powders and stuff like that. Anyway, so hopefully Bryant Mitchell, that answers your question about wearing or how I got started in dressing. Like I said, it was mostly putting on knickers and, you know, trying on bras and that kind of stuff. Tights, that kind of thing. That was when I was, I don't know, 11, 12, 13, puberty, that kind of time. And yeah, it's been there or thereabouts for most of my life. Initially I wondered whether I was gay. Eventually decided I'm not gay. Never had any sort of gay experiences, but yeah, I was, you know, confused. You're not really sure what you're, you know, what you're doing with your life, especially when you're young. I think these days there's much more access to. I think the internet wasn't around when I was a kid, so there's much more access these days for reassurance online. There's also obviously a lot of bullying and abuse and all sorts of stuff online as well. But I think it's great the way that you can actually get some help and assistance. And there's so many more people out there, like on YouTube here, where people are. Just lost my screen, so I can't do anything. There you go. Where people are able to. Okay, hopefully I haven't lost everything here. No good. So people are able to go and find much more information on YouTube, so they can, you know, find out about other people like them. I think it's great. Okay, so I'm going to ask a quick question from Edward, which was what are my top 5 movies? So different to makeup and everything else. My top 5 movies. This has changed a lot recently because of the films I've been watching. So a film I watched recently, which I would have to say has gone straight into my top 5, is It Happened One Night, 1934, from the top of my head. Clark Gable, Claudette Colbert. Amazing film. it's a comedy, romantic comedy. I thought it was, yes, I was blown away by how good that film was, and about how interesting it is as um, for a film that's so old, black and white. I laughed so much during it. Okay, some of my other favourite films are a little bit sort of self-indulgent. Um, Shawshank Redemption is probably my #1 most watchable film of all time. I love Shawshank Redemption. I could watch that again and again and again. Yeah, for me it's a perfect film, and there's nothing that I can think of that's really wrong with the film. The performances were all excellent. The story is excellent. It's a great, the novella by Stephen King, which is three of the four uh, short stories within that novella by Stephen King have obviously been made into films. So Rita Hayworth in Shawshank Redemption became The Shawshank Redemption, and then you had Apt Pupil, which I think was David Schwimmer and Gandalf. So Ian McKellen. Yeah, that was a good film. And then obviously Stand By Me was the other one. I can't remember the fourth one that hasn't been adapted yet. So Shawshank Redemption. Now, very self-indulgent. I love The Crow. Brandon Lee, The Crow, the original. Forget all the sequels, everything else. I hope they don't remake it. I don't care if they do, whatever. I still got the original. I love The Crow. That film, it resonates with me. Okay. It would be hard for it to resonate with me since I've never been murdered and witnessed the murder and abuse of my wife. So as a film, it got me right at that age, just about 19, something like that. And the film itself just captivated me. I bought the soundtrack and the score, 2 different CDs. Got the soundtrack and I got the score, and I got it on VHS, and I got it on DVD, and I got it on Blu-ray. So at one point, I had 5 different things from the same film. Love The Crow, especially that. Oh, Can't Rain All the Time. Eric Draven. Could talk for hours about The Crow. Godfather Part 2, obviously. Don't need to say much about that one. Love The Godfather Part 2. For me, Godfather 1, Godfather 2, sort of both there or thereabouts. And then one other film. So this kind of fluctuates depending on how I'm feeling at any particular moment. So it's quite hard for me to say what my... I'll chuck a different film in here and there. But I would say for today, my 5th favourite film at the moment would be... Yeah, Shaun of the Dead. I love Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead is obviously part 1 of the Cornetto trilogy, followed by Hot Fuzz and by World's End. 3 great films. But Shaun of the Dead for me is... it was the film that proved that British people could make cool comedies, not just, Richard Curtis, Four Weddings and a Funeral, Notting Hill type comedies, which is, they've got their place, and they're all good and everything. But it was basically an entirely British cast, and it was just really a great film to watch. So, very quick thing for Jones. Okay, I know they're remaking The Crow, but there's been that many actors who have been in and out. They can't keep a director for the film, and they can't keep a lead actor. At one point they had what's his face, who's just been in Beauty and the Beast as Gaston. Can't remember his name. And Jason Momoa was due to be the Crow as well. I'll remember the name of the guy from Beauty and the Beast quite soon. But I know they're remaking The Crow, but they really can't keep a director, they can't keep a story, a script, and they absolutely can't keep a actor on this. So I'm quite pessimistic that they'll ever get around to remaking it, actually, since they can't retain, you know, anyone to actually be in the film. Unless you've heard differently. Maybe you have, I don't know. But that's the last I heard, was that they can't keep anyone to actually be in the film. Or to direct it. So that was cool. Okay, quick one. Sapri. No, it's a wig. And it's synthetic. So my hair is a synthetic wig. I've got my real hair under this, what there is of it. And it's a... this wig is by a company called Noriko. I think they trade under several names, but it's a Noriko wig. And the style is called Angelica. I can't remember what the shade is, but it's nice because you've got the sort of darker... Again, it's weird, this camera's backwards. You've got the darker sort of roots here, which makes it look very natural. And the blonde is a really nice sort of muted blonde colour. It's not too platinum, and you know, it looks really, really good. So yeah, Jones, by the way, first pupil, yeah, at Pupil of Natives, I would agree with you. I've only seen the remade version. I really do like Sir Ian McKellen. I thought Sir Ian McKellen in yes, Sir Ian McKellen in Extras was fantastic, where he's playing like a sort of version of himself, but a really you know, he does that whole, how do I act so well? Well, what I do is I pretend to be the person I'm portraying in the film or television show. You're confused. If I was to draw a graph of my process, my method, it would go something like this. Sir Ian, Sir Ian, Sir Ian, Sir Ian. Action. Wizard, you shall not pass. Cut. Sir Ian, Sir Ian, Sir Ian. Love the guy. Great campaigner for gay rights, for LGBT rights, LGBT plus rights, whatever we're calling it these days. And he's a great old campaigner, really down to earth. I can't say enough about Sir Ian McKellen. I love the guy. Follow him on Twitter. I think he's fantastic. Really, really great guy. Yes. Sorry, Sophia, you asked a question a while ago. How long does it take to do my makeup? It used to take me a couple of hours to do this, but with practice, I can now basically do this, as I did today, in about 45 minutes. If I'm trying to do something, you know, other than just, you can see today I've kind of just gone for a sort of purpley colour here. If I'm trying to do anything particularly flash with my eyes, it can be a bit longer. And that's just for the face. So 45 minutes for the face, nails a bit longer, you know, let's round it up to an hour. And then I'm out the door. So yeah, it's getting faster, and as long as I'm not trying to change things up, as long as I'm just doing this look, then I can just whiz that through in about 45 minutes. Like I said, that's down from 2 hours originally. 2 hours was yeah, 2 hours was really the most I ever took to get ready. But a lot of that was faffing around and trying to get yeah, trying to get as much done as quickly as possible, but probably spending too much time worrying about stuff looking neat. One of the biggest problems is when you've got a mirror, I don't have my mirror, but I've got a, you know, I've got a silly little thing that I use for plucking my eyebrows. I've got, you know, one of these little things, which is just rubbish. But it's got the light on it, so, you know, sometimes it's useful for that. When you're using your mirror, I find that if you can get too close, especially if you've got like a magnifying mirror that's 3 times, 5 times magnification or even more, it's a key fault that some people have, which is that when you're looking at yourself really close up in the mirror, you see every flaw. When you step away, you look much better, you look good. But if you're really up front, and you're really got your magnifying mirror right in front of yourself, you can spend time faffing around with tiny little imperfections. It's really just a waste of your time. And that's one of the things that I learned to. I know, you know, I'm seeing here. I can't see a flaw with my makeup. I know they're there, but sat 3 foot away from my camera, I can't see a flaw. And the same's true when you're out, you know, sort of meeting people and seeing people. You don't see the flaws. So that's a good way to speed things up. Cleaning is fast. I use a oil. I'll show you what I use for cleaning my makeup. 1 second. I use this stuff, which is a deep cleansing oil, which you just, I can have the makeup off in about 5 minutes. You just put the oil on your hands, rub it together, dry, no water at all, rub it all over your face. It turns everything to sort of beigey, browny sludge, and then just wash it off. And that will get rid of 99% of your makeup, especially if you pay attention to your eye area, and then just wash it off. It's fantastic. So, Edward, do I like film noir? I do, but I really haven't seen very many. So, you know, film noir, you would certainly count Double Indemnity. But I really haven't seen many film noirs. So I'm trying to see a few more, but there aren't really that many of them on Netflix, and I do mostly spend my time looking at Netflix. That's where I watch most of the films that I see. So I'm going to try and see a few more. If you've got any recommendations, please do let me know, because yeah, interesting films, things to watch. You know, I'm definitely up for that. So, Bryant, I agree with you. Bryant Mitchell, I'm against remakes as well, for the most part. I don't. Some of the best films have been remakes. You know, everyone always famously says Scarface was a remake. It was a remake. There have been some really good remakes. Hollywood is going to remake everything for every generation, so every 20 to 30 years they're going to remake most films, unless they're prevented from doing so by the likes, you know, when you've got things like Back to the Future, where they've said they won't ever remake it because they're never going to remake it. As long as Robert Zemeckis is alive, for example, they won't remake Back to the Future. And it's I think remakes they have their place though. They do have their place. If you're going to remake something, the one thing I would say is, if you're going to do a film like A Point Break, the remake, do something different. I've got the original. Don't remake the whole film. The one type of remake I really do dislike, it's your Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Raid. They're doing a US version of the Raid. It's that kind of American remake of a foreign film. I just wish more people would go see the original, because you take a film like Old Boy. I love the film Old Boy, the Korean original. It's a hard film to watch more than once, but it is a really good film. And so I've seen the whole of that Revenge trilogy. They're really quite difficult films to watch more than once, but worth watching for one time. And Old Boy, the US remake, I didn't need to see it because I saw the original. I wish more people would see the original. I'd much rather a Hollywood studio bought rights to an original film and then put a marketing campaign against it. Rather than remake the film, just put a marketing campaign against it and push it in the US. You know, really push the film. Why would you remake The Raid? Why would you remake Old Boy? It doesn't make any sense to me. There's no point to it. Some remakes are really good. You can't get away from it. Some remakes are good. But for the most part, I wish they just put more effort into pushing the original. So, Sapri, I do not have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. I have a wife. So, yeah, I'm married to my wife. Okay. That's an easy one. Okay, so just having a look for some other questions. Yeah, so voice studies. Yeah, so yes, so question from Sophia. I do some impressions. Basically, since I was a kid, I just messed around doing bits and pieces. So I do some impressions of people. I quite like the. Yeah, there's a few that I do which I've done videos on them, but you know the whole you don't need to see my papers, you know, that Obi-Wan Kenobi. They are the droids you're looking for. And C-3PO. Thank the maker. They're just silly little things that I do. Basically, if I hear a really nice voice, I like doing voices. So I have my sort of pedantic voice, which is whenever I'm talking about a subject and I'm getting a bit nerdy or geeky about it. I don't like the phrase, I don't care about the phrase nerd culture, geek culture, whatever. It's, you know, it's just another way of saying what people used to think was dull is now interesting, whatever. Yeah, so voices, I do a lot of voices, just messing around at home. So I've got this is my sort of, you know, health and safety voice, the guy who tells you you have to have your health and safety records in place. And I'll just do these silly voices and throw them out. I don't do many really good impressions, but I do like to have fun with them every now and again. My Bane really isn't working, but you know, I just find the odd good line from a film and then practice it again and again. But anyway, any decent impressions I have, they're in my videos, they're up on the channel anyway, so it's quite easy for you to find those. Not going to be a problem finding those ones at all. So yes, oh, that's fantastic, TCM. So yeah, Edward, I've not heard of TCM cable channel. I don't have that here. I can get access to old movies through Netflix. And I have something called Now TV, which is like a web streamed version of Sky Television, which you know, I don't like giving money to Rupert Murdoch, but there we go. So I do some. I'm going to top that up. So let's see, because this is non-alcoholic wine, it's got this interesting resealable thing on top. So you can reseal a bottle, which is quite nice. Well, I just bought a proper resealer, so now it's wasted my money. So yeah, film noir type stuff. I'm basically trying to work my way through the Hitchcock stuff. I don't know if you qualify that as film noir, but I've got a load of films I'm due to be watching. Things like Maltese Falcon. I found a copy of that. These aren't necessarily film noir, obviously. Spy Who Came In From the Cold, Richard Burton. I'm looking forward to watching that one. That's going to be an interesting film. Oh, okay. Turner Classic Movies, TCM. It is a US thing though. I know of Turner Broadcasting. Obviously, I'm assuming that's Ted Turner, Billionaire Ted, if you know your wrestling. But even so, TCM, it's not really a brand name that's recognised here. You know, we recognise your Fox, your HBOs, your ABCs, etc. Yeah, TCM is not a channel that I've ever really come across. Although I do know Turner Broadcasting, so I'm guessing it's to do with Turner Broadcasting. Yes. Okay, so Bryant. Remaking The Matrix and Spider-Man on its third remake in less than 20 years. Okay, now we're going to get really serious about the subject of The Matrix. There's only one Matrix film, okay? It's called The Matrix. The Animatrix is the next closest thing to a Matrix film that exists today. I can't stand the other two. I saw them both in cinema. I hated them. If they're remaking The Matrix, I think that is the dumbest idea ever. Because I don't see the point. If they are going to ignore 2 and 3 and pick things up way in the future, or okay, so things I'm not interested in The Matrix. Remake is stupid. A prequel is stupid. If you're going to pick things up after, let's say, The Matrix, and you're going to tell more stories from within The Matrix, I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem with that. But don't remake it. I mean, the original classic, there's no reason to remake it. Spider-Man, on the other hand, Tobey Maguire was fine. He was fine, but he was about 35 when he was playing Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield similarly was too old to be playing Spider-Man. And at least this time I think we're getting something a bit new. I know Tom Holland is relatively, he's still sort of, he's in his late teens. I think he's about 18, 19 now, maybe 19. But he's a great British actor. Go get a Brit. If you want to get it done properly, get a Brit. And he looks young enough to be in high school. And I think that's the thing that we saw Spider-Man, previously Peter Parker in the films in high school. I'm really looking forward to him being properly in high school, maybe for 2 or 3 films. I think if they can do that. Now, what I know of Tom Holland is that he signed on to do 3 Spider-Man films, and he signed on to do, I think, 3 other films, of which Captain America Civil War was one of those. So with Homecoming and Captain America Civil War, he will have done one of his Spider-Man trilogy and one of his extra films. I'm guessing the other 2 extra films are going to be Avengers 3 and Avengers 4, or Infinity War 1 and 2, Part 1, Part 2. And yeah, other than that, I think he's going to have a 3rd film. And I heard the other day they were talking about how I think it was Amy Pascal who was the one that brokered on the Sony side the deal between Sony and Marvel that allows him to be in the MCU, which is another reason why the new Spider-Man films are good. It was actually part of the MCU. There's only so many times you can see the same round and round type stuff. Same villains. It's always a Green Goblin involved in everything, and Doc Ock was really good in the original films. I'm looking forward to Spider-Man in college, part of the MCU, and if they go their separate ways afterwards, especially given that Sony's announced that they're doing some spin-off movies. They're planning to do like a Venom movie. They're planning to do a Black Cat and someone else movie. All sorts of different weird stuff going on. It's quite interesting at the moment. Oh, and that stuff won't be in the MCU, so it won't be linked to this Spider-Man. Which I think it's a bit odd, but as long as they're doing it right, I'm quite happy with that. So I've got 2 more questions here. Another very quick one. No, I have not had any plastic surgery. So just to be clear, everything comes off, and I could walk past you in the street and be just a guy that walked past you in the street. So no matter what I look like, this is just makeup. And if I take it all off, I'm just an ordinary guy. Literally, I'm just a guy who walked past you in the street. And you probably wouldn't realise it was me. So I've had no plastic surgery of any kind. It's not my hair. They're not my boobs. You know, my body is physically me. Yeah, check that. Yeah. So my body is, yeah, physically all me. That's it. I wear, you know, if I want to look more curvy, whatever, I use corsets, pads, everything I need to do to add more curves. Although I'm working on that because my running's helping out, and I am trying to do a few things just to give myself a thinner waist. Yeah, Edward, I agree with you. It is a great time to be a comic book nerd. I don't read comic books, but I follow the films. I've got every film in the MCU that's been released so far, with the exception of Hulk. I don't have Hulk. That's the Edward Norton one, which technically I think was the first film in Phase 1, even though that it was really Iron Man that kicked it all off. So I have watched all those films. I go see them all in the cinema if I can. I love them. I watch the DC films as well. I really like Man of Steel. It's a good film. I did not like Batman v Superman. Saw that in the cinema. I thought that was a poor film. I also thought Suicide Squad was a terrible film. It was just a jumbled mess of rubbish. Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking. But I'm really looking forward to Wonder Woman. Really looking forward to Wonder Woman. Okay. DC, as much as I would agree with you that their two most recent films are poor, they did give me The Dark Knight. I can't really argue with that. I love Batman Begins. I love The Dark Knight. I really like Dark Knight Rises. Heath Ledger's Joker is still, yeah, amazing. So DC can do good stuff. They just need to, you know, give it to a good director and let the guy get on with what he needs to do. See, when DC were releasing Batman v Superman, oh, there's a 3-hour cut. There's a 3-hour cut, you know, and now we've got the ultimate version. That pissed me off, and the reason it annoyed me is because DC execs should say the film needs to be this long. Zack Snyder should say, I'm making a film that's that long. If Zack Snyder can't make the film he needs to make in less than 3 hours, then one of the two of them, or both of them, have got that wrong. So it's either Zack Snyder's fault, or it's DC exec's fault. Don't butcher the film, okay? Release the best film you can, get it out there in the cinema. The Ultimate Cut was fine. There's still some terrible issues with the film. I hate the Lex Luthor hard candy thing. I thought Lex Luthor was miserable in the film, a really miserable character. I felt the fact that he was able to operate the machinery on the vessel was terrible. I hated the Martha thing. I also saw someone talk about this the other day, and I absolutely agree with this. The Martha thing just did not need to happen, because it implies that Batman would have killed Superman had Superman's mother's name been different. All they had to do was have Bruce Wayne, Batman, see Superman as someone who's vulnerable with a mother, who's scared to lose their mother, like he lost his mother. That would be an emotional link between the two of them. You could make that work. And yet they had to do the Martha thing, which implies Batman would have just killed him. If his mother's name was, you know, Gwendolyn, Superman's dead. Dead. Not coming back. Ridiculous. It's such poor thinking. Anyway, that's yeah, that's enough about DC for now. Sorry, every once in a while, if I don't do something about it, the screen shuts down and it gets a bit darker in here because the screen's actually throwing some light on me, which is good. Yeah, Wonder Woman is looking good, Raquel. I agree with you 100%. Wonder Woman's looking really, really good. I don't have a problem with Gal Gadot's acting. I think she's good. I think she's got a lot to offer. I'm interested to see I'm interested to see how well they deal with some of the more comedic aspects of the film, because I think there is some comedy within the film. But it's it's an interesting way to for them to go. I'm really quite I'm quite pleased that Wonder Woman is coming out, because there's been so many delays on Flash. You know, they can't decide what they're going to do with Green Lantern. They've announced what's that film? I don't even know the property very well. One with the kid, Shazam. The Rock's going to be Black Adam in Shazam. Apparently, that was announced 5-6 years ago, and nothing's happened since. DC do seem to be struggling to. They're just tripping over themselves to tell us more about stuff they haven't done. Let's do something. You know, I view DC like I view politicians these days. Stop talking, do something. Just shut up and do something. That's all you need to do. That's really what I would hope they'd do anyway. So yeah, they've done good stuff in the past. The animated stuff, I don't watch the animated stuff. The only thing I know about the animated stuff, the last thing I watched was the Killing Joke, and I didn't enjoy the Killing Joke. I don't like the source material. I don't like the there's a large part of comic books where they're written by middle-aged to elderly white men for young white boys, and there's an element of some comics that's obviously quite sexualized. I think they still got some way to go before they redress some of the balance of how comics have been presented in the past. So Lex Luthor, tech billionaire type, had potential, Bryant. He did. I just didn't like Jesse Eisenberg's acting. I thought he played it really, really weird. I was so hoping the rumours of Bryan Cranston being Lex Senior, because obviously it's Alexander Luthor, so it's Lex Junior. The idea that there, and this is another thing I think there's a problem with the with Batman v Superman, with the whole DC EU. The idea that there was a Lex Luthor who we've never seen, and who apparently died long before any of this stuff ever kicked off. So a Lex Luthor who never knew about the existence of Superman, who was, you assume, the original Lex who Alexander's trying to live up to. I don't get what the point of that is. It's like teasing us that there was an original Lex who... I know Lex Luthor, I know him from the comics, I know him from the other films. I know the Gene Hackman version, I know the Kevin Spacey version. Even the Kevin Spacey version was better than Jesse Eisenberg's, in my opinion. It's hard to see what they're really, what they're really going for with it. And the fact that there is a Lex Senior out there, it just makes me wish we'd had him, particularly Bryan Cranston as Lex Senior. I think Bryan Cranston as Lex Senior would be better than Bryan Cranston as Zordon. I'll put it that way. So, yes, I would agree with you, Edward, that women can be portrayed. All I would say about comic books, though, is that every time a comic book movie is... Okay, how can I put this? A book is a book. Books don't get rewritten. Comic books, characters get redone all the time. You know, things like New 52, and they do the Ultimate versions, and they do crossovers and spin-overs. There are opportunities in comic books to rewrite characters and to redress the balance on a regular basis. Whereas when a book is written or when a film is made, you generally don't go around making repeats of that multiple times. Obvious exceptions being something like James Bond, where James Bond can be reinvented and told in different ways. But for me, comic books have had many opportunities over the years to rewrite their characters, and they're just beginning to scratch the surface. But every time they try and do something that is innovative, it's seen as being some kind of bowing to pressure, social media pressure. It's bowing to pressure from the world of oh, we have to have, oh, it's a gay character. A character's gay. Oh, why does it have to be gay? Or a character's lesbian. Or a character is they change gender. Like, for example, where Thor is now, currently in the comics, Thor is a woman. I like all this, but comics still can't get away from the fact that they are they're sort of they're emphasizing the characteristics of the person when they draw them. And I know this because I've got Stan Lee's book. I've actually got Stan Lee has there's a book on how to draw the Marvel way, and I've got that book and I've been doing it, and everything's exaggerated. Even the sort of height of the male and female characters, it's all exaggerated. Breast size is massively exaggerated on the women, and you don't have to go much further than Black Cat in Marvel, Power Girl, or Wonder Woman in DC. Very sexualized characters, and they are made for young boys. They know what sells. I'm not saying it's anything. There's nothing wrong with marketing to your audience. I was a young boy once. I know what I liked. There's nothing wrong with that. But they do have an opportunity to now, I think, put a bit more into it and to put something in that is that's maybe a bit more that's going to challenge people. And through the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, it's hard to find a lot of good examples. When something like The Killing Joke came out, I think that was in the 90s, Killing Joke came out. I could be totally wrong about that. Like I said, I'm not a comic book expert by any means. But I thought it was 90s, 80s or 90s, I'm guessing. And now they're just starting to introduce more black characters, more characters of other races, and particularly people from within the LGBTQ plus type environment. I'm not aware of a trans superhero, but I could be wrong about that. I could very much be wrong about that. Maybe that's what Thor is. At least they didn't call her Thorina or Thorette or something like that. That's the kind of stuff I would have expected 20 years ago. Thorette. Sounds like a tampon. For particularly heavy months. So, yes, I agree with you, Brian. Comic books, they do reflect the time. And films reflect the time as well. But I feel that because comic books have an opportunity right now to do so much very quickly, because every year or two they rewrite the stories. Every year or two, you get 6-10 releases from a character, and then they do something different. There are so many otherworld type scenarios of comics. It's a great opportunity to throw stuff out there. This is one of the things and when they make the films, by the way, I know comic book guys can be quite protective about what they have, and this is something I think it was Zack Snyder. I think it was Zack Snyder who replied to something. Someone challenged Zack Snyder about Man of Steel, saying, "Why did you change Superman's costume?" And his response was perfect. He responded, "Which one?" There have been about 30 Superman costumes in the comics. Whatever one is important to you is is the one that you're going to be looking for in your films. And you know, when you've got multiple generations of people who have grown up in these different comics, it's quite you know, people look for their thing. People look for their version of Captain America, their version of Iron Man, their version of Superman or Batman or whatever it is that they grew up with in the comics. Whatever it was that really affected them, particularly when they were a kid. And that's why for me, new kids, young kids reading these things today, I think it's ideal if they spend a bit of time and they do some interesting things. So I think they're doing it now. Anyway, good job. More to come on that one, I think. And hopefully they will they'll keep up the good work. So apparently Ed's feed has frozen. I do hope that's not the case for everyone. So hopefully everyone can still see what's going on here. Yes, says it's still good. Okay, so hopefully everything's still good here. We don't have any issues. So I'm just playing around on my computer. Get the comments back up again. Okay, perfect. So everyone's back now. Okay, so it is now almost 4 o'clock in the morning. So much I'd love to stay and chat for too much longer, I'm going to have to take a, you know, some sleep. I got up at 4 o'clock this morning to take someone to the airport, and yeah, 4 o'clock this morning. Then I did a run, which I struggle with. I should have had breakfast. I didn't have breakfast. I went for a run at about 6 a.m. and I did not do well. Around about 20 kilometers. I was supposed to do 26. So I'm quite tired. Had a nap this afternoon, but that wasn't really enough. So I'm going to let everyone go. And this has been really good fun, actually. Yeah, it's been really cool. I'm glad so many people turned up. I want to say thank you for everyone that took the time to come and ask me some questions here today. I think I got through every question I was asked tonight, which was great. But just to say one thing, because of the timing, it's early in the morning, I'm not going to be able to do these super often, but whenever I can, I will certainly do them. I can definitely do one again in May. Yeah, in May. But I'm hoping I'm going to be able to I'm hoping I'm going to be able to do one a bit earlier than that. I can probably even do one next week, because I've got some free time next week. So try and do another one next week, and look forward to talking to everyone again soon. For anyone who wasn't aware, I'm just going to show you what I'm wearing tonight. So this is my dress. You can see sparkly, can't see that very well, can you? Sparkly sequins. If you can see that. Just on the front, which makes it a nice sort of thin line. Yeah, I love this dress. It's really good. I'll definitely post a proper video with the dress and everything else. I think I've already done with the dress. Anyway, so I'm going to be dressing for quite a few of the next days, and yeah, look forward to posting some more videos on YouTube. Thanks everyone for joining. It's been really fantastic. Had a great time. I look forward to doing it again. So, bye! Bye! Good night. I'm off to get some sleep. Now it'll take me ages to turn this off, by the way. You see if it doesn't. I'll try my best, but it'll probably take me ages to get this to turn off.